Welcome to Fishing Without Bait, a lifetime without definitive expectations, where we help people explode into their lives through full impact mindfulness, where we help people to develop a mind of knowledge rather than a mind of uncertainty. And today we're continuing our conversation with our good friend Katie as we discuss the ins and outs, inequities, and benefits of the American health system.
And another thing, like living in this cancer world and talking and having, these interactions, you learn I'm very lucky for my skin tone that I will probably most likely my symptoms will be taken seriously because people of color will go to the doctors. And I mean, for the longest time, the books would say, well, Black people have a higher pain tolerance. Or, that's how they could just these horrible things that you read about and you learn about. And so, like, even them asking for help in the cancer world, like, I think something is wrong. Well, maybe it's this. And like listening to them. And one of my friends specifically who we lost was a situation like this because her symptoms weren't taken seriously when she asked.
That's tragic.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely tragic. But people, as we often say in the 12-step world, Katie, people have quick forgetters.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on to the next tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
And we feel so bad and perhaps a little outraged with that one until the next tragedy occurs 5 minutes later.
Yeah, seriously.
So I don't know when we lost the thought that human life was precious and important.
I don't even it's so wild to see it and to see who's prioritized. And it just like, what year is this? Where I thought you think things have come so far and then you're like, oh no.
So what you're describing is something that people again avoid and deny is white privilege.
Mm-hmm.
So you're an attractive young blonde white girl.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna listen to me. You're gonna take my symptoms seriously. And having friends who are not and listening to them and the conversations that they have to have and like the dismissal of their symptoms is just like I just there's not words because it's just like this is not how this is supposed to happen. You say you offer everybody care, but you're not.
So you were born the way you are by an accident of birth.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't any magic karma in the sky that said, this person deserves to be this.
Mm-hmm.
It's through an accident of birth. And again, the Bible's Jesus based everything on love, compassion, and forgiveness. We did a podcast a while ago, Katie, on the Good Samaritan, where Jesus told that story to illustrate how the high and mighty and the so-called religious individuals weren't following their own thoughts.
And it's just unreal that folks are just this is how I interpret this, and this is
Well, yes, but however, you're an insider on this.
yeah. Unfortunately, I have the insider information.
Yes, you do. You have that knowledge. But when you try to get it across to people, sometimes view myself as radicals.
Mm-hmm. And especially when you start talking about the access to care based upon like where you live, and you'll notice there's concentrations of world famous healthcare centers in certain areas and not in others, and that is it's just, there's so many. I don't want what the word is like. I don't know, like gateways, like the gatekeepers, where to get to somewhere, like for example, for like a UPMC in Pittsburgh, we'll use them as an example, is you have to be able to get downtown Pittsburgh. You have to be able to pay for parking. You have to be able to pay for the appointment. Like there's all these little itty bitty steps that people just don't realize because they're not seeing the whole picture. They're just seeing like this happens and then this happens. Everybody's better.
So what these people are being told is their life isn't worth the effort.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And it's I don't know how you try to recover from something like cancer when you're being and not indirectly told that.
Well, we can talk about outrage, but what we say in a 12-step world, we say, okay, what can you do about it? What do you want to do about it? So what can be done, Katie? What's in your mind? What's in your thoughts?
For me, it's telling the stories and how important it is to tell the stories and to listen. Before you can tell anybody a story, you have to first listen and really listen. Don't just kind of hear what you want to hear, but to listen to what they're actually saying, and then being able to have conversations with other folks, whether you're on a podcast or you're someone asks you a question about, being involved with cancer, like being able to say, this is my experience, but this is unique because other folks are living these realities.
Yes. And, the Bible's Jesus said, whatsoever you do to the least of my brothers, that you do unto me. Our own thoughts on this show that we've put forth many times, if there's some type of reward when we cross over and leave this world, this creator, the divine, may ask a person, I gave you gifts, talents, and abilities. What'd you do with them? Not not about other aspects of their life. You were given gifts, talents, and abilities. What'd you do with them? My own thoughts are that, in my practice anyway, the only admission fee there, just like for this show, is the honesty, open-mindedness, and the willingness to try. And the Creator may say to this person, I sent one of the neediest of my children to you, and you turned them away. Explain yourself. What would happen if that would happen? The Creator would say, I sent one of the neediest of my children to you, and you turned them away.
It's just, I don't like, I don't know how people could do that. Like, this is somebody needs you who's willing to ask you, especially for help, and for you to just dismiss them is just, it's horrifying, it's unconscionable. And we're lucky to have our gifts. We're lucky to be given. And I think in talking about gifts, like finding what yours are and how you can use it to help somebody else is huge. And I think for me, with this whole cancer thing, was being able, like, I'm a storyteller. That's what I do. That's, I love data and digital storytelling, and I love helping small businesses or whatever I can work with, helping them tell their stories, and then which translates into marketing. Yay. And I think for me, being able to use those talents to help, I like to help my young adult cancer group. Like, how can I help them?
So tell us about this young adult cancer group, Katie.
So I have a few that I'm involved with, and some of them are specific to breast cancer, some are specific to just all young adult cancers. And what they do is they just give you a place and a space where people get it and understand that young adult cancer is definitely it's different than like pediatric cancer. It's different than older adults who have cancer. Like, this is like sweet spot of where you're supposed to be starting your life and like all these things, and now you're stuck with cancer and trying to navigate that and the rest of these challenges of this age. But I think it's a place where you kind of feel that you belong and can be honest. I think that's the other thing, is it's a safe space where you can be honest, because it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
So it's like walking into a 12-step room where you don't have to explain why you're there.
Yep, exactly. You do not. You can say how you're feeling, and no matter, and because things get, this is the real world. We're not all, some of us are will get better, and some of us have to live the rest of our lives with cancer. And you can't just smile and be like, it'll be okay, when you sometimes you want to be like, this sucks.
That's the thing. As a therapist, that's the single worst thing that I could tell somebody, that it's going to be all right.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be okay. I don't know that. I don't know that. At one time, I would probably suspect that your prognosis was grim.
Mm-hmm. You don't know. Even for me, I'm considered what it's called no evidence of disease. It means that the particular type of cancer is not showing up on a test. If they did a PET scan or a CT scan, you wouldn't see it. But the particular type of cancer is ER/PR positive, which is estrogen and progesterone positive. This particular type of cancer, it used to be like you hit the 5 or the 10-year mark, you're like, "Psh, you're good. You don't have to even like don't even worry about it. It's in the rear view mirror." My particular type of cancer, they're finding out 15, 20 years down the road, even it's popping back up again because it's just laying dormant, and it's the statistics are 1 in 8 women will develop breast cancer. 1 in 3 of those women, it'll metastasize, and which means that it spreads throughout the body. And you can live like stage 4 for much longer than you could, years ago. You're 10 plus years, but it's still it, you get an expiration date. And that's terrifying. And like the fear of it coming back and trying to be like, it's gonna be okay. You're better now. It's like, no, not. Thanks for thinking that, but no.
So how does that affect your outlook and perspective on life, Katie?
I think it's weird. I don't plan too far into the future anymore, which is, I think, not. It's interesting to be like, "What's your 5-year plan?" I'm like, hopefully still be here." Like, and it's not a joke when I say that. That's a legit goal for me. Is like maybe I'll still be here. That'd be nice. Um, but yeah, so I don't plan into the future. I don't live like folks would be like, well, if it comes back, you should live each day like it's your last. And like, that's the worst advice you can give anybody. Because like, if you live every day that way, that is putting such a high expectation because I have shitty days and like, I just want to just crawl into a hole and die and I get nothing accomplished. And like, if you're like living in this like last day of your life mentality, you're like, wow, I wasted a day instead of like, I probably needed to rest instead of like having that, well, you wasted a day. It's in one word.
Who can judge that on anybody?
Yeah.
People can live their life. It's what they want to do about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's what they want to do. So how has that, well, let's talk how you are physically today. Tell us about it.
I'm really well. I say that I'm like, I'm surprised. I am surprised. It's a lot of work to be doing as well as I am. I recently went on, I was in Zion, Utah, and I did a 45 plus mile hike over 2 days with a
Whoa.
group. Yeah.
Wow.
I was shocked. I would trained for several months to do this, and which I was surprised my body did as well, responded as well to the training as it did. So.
However, what I hear you telling us that should you get a position in a company that offers healthcare, well, you have to take it that you work for that company, which would opt you out of any further serious treatment like you've had.
Mm-hmm. It's wild. I can tell you that one of this type of medication that I take twice a day, it's called Verzenio. And I take this medication twice a day. I'm on it for 2.5 to 3 years. And a 1 month supply of this medication is $13,000 before insurance. That's one of my medications. That's not counting doctor's appointments. That's not counting anything else. Like, is that wild to just think that UPS delivers a box worth $13,000 to my porch once a month? It's terrifying.
Okay. That's even more valuable than printer ink.
Right? I was like, wow, this thing is worth more than my vehicle. This thing is worth more than.
So we can talk about how outrageous that is, but I'd rather find out what permits that to happen.
Yeah, and I get that it's a specialty medication that is supposed to, like, if there was any hidden cancer, it's supposed to prevent it from reproducing, which is fantastic, and like more people should have access to this. But it's a little pricey.
A bit.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in this fortunate position. So if I had commercial insurance like a Highmark and Aetna, UPMC, those type of plans, they probably would not cover it.
No. It's the other weird thing about the cancer and chemo world is people will take oral chemotherapy drugs, and a lot of insurance companies cover that like a medication as opposed to a treatment. So there's less money put towards that, and you end up paying more out of pocket because it's like a medication versus a
Well, it's
treatment.
a well-known
Hmm.
fact that doctors, hospitals, they don't guide medicine.
Hmm.
They do not guide treatment. The insurance companies guide treatment.
Unfortunately, it's true.
And people are under the mistaken notion, Katie, that I have insurance, everything will be okay.
Yeah, I shouldn't laugh, but it's so true. You think and you're like this will be okay because I pay extra for the specific insurance, and um, it's just not the case.
Okay. So, what's the message? How can you tell your story? How can you continue to tell your story? I mean, people say, oh, she's so courageous. Oh, she's so resilient. Oh, she's so wonderful. However, well, what can that mean going forward for you to help people? I know you have a huge heart.
I I think for me it's living and putting it out there. Like this is what I'm doing and this is how I'm choosing to live. And I think that's I don't want to be like that's the inspirational thing, but that's the thing. Like if I want you to see how I'm doing and being like, "Wow, you know what? That's pretty cool. She's doing pretty cool things. I want to do cool things too." And that would be awesome to me. Like if to make someone else feel like they could do something.
Well, it's not only cancer, it's treatment for drug addiction, it's treatment for alcoholism, it's treatment for mental health, all of these things that people say, oh, isn't that a shame? And they move on.
Mhm.
Oh, that's too bad. Oh, that's too bad. So in a 12-step world, Katie, it says in the book that our purpose is to fit ourselves to be of maximum service to the creator and to our fellows. And it sounds like that's what you're trying to do.
Mhm.
Because that's I see in your heart. I've known you for a while, and I have a strong feeling that you know that that's what's important.
Yeah, it's doing what you can to help somebody else out. There's you don't for me going through this whole thing, it can't be for naught. Like there's got to be something I'm going to find the good in it, whether it's telling my story and helping somebody else feel less alone. That's a lot.
And we're going to continue our conversation with Katie on our next podcast, which we hope you will join, and our free prescription fruits, nuts, and vegetables. Unplug your television and take up fishing. And for a truly mindful experience, we suggest that you fish without bait. Do a kindness for yourself and do a kindness for another. Forgive yourself and forgive another. If we are not all God's children, none of us are God's children. Do a kindness for everyone. Thank you.
If you're interested in flying the colors of fishing without bait, click the shop icon on our website. We have clothing, mugs, cell phone cases, and so much more. Show the world that you fish without bait.